there, traders. Welcome back to 5 Daily Impulses. Are you ready for another thrilling day on the market roller coaster? Today, we're diving into the 4 big market movers that shape the action. The VIX, Fear and Greed Index, Market Analyzer, and the latest news from Forex Factory. First up, the VIX, our market's fear gauge, is sitting at 16.43, up by 1.73%. The Fear and Greed Index, it's at 63%, leaning towards greed today. Over on the Market Analyzer, we've got the E-mini S&P 500 at 111,000, the Dow at 13,000, and the Nasdaq at 65,000. And for news, watch out for Flash Manufacturing PMI and Flash Services PMI at 9:45 a.m. Stay tuned. Let's plan your next winning trade. U.S. stock futures are acting wild right now, with everyone waiting for some fresh economic news and speeches from the Fed. Last week, they cut interest rates big time, so traders are on edge. Meanwhile, Apollo Global Management is about to drop a huge $5 billion investment into Intel. That's a lot of chips. And finally, U.S. House Republicans just came up with a short-term plan to keep the government running and avoid a shutdown. This is happening right before the big November elections, so there's a lot at stake. First impulse, Wobbly Futures. On Monday, U.S. stock futures were a bit shaky as investors waited for new data that might affect the Fed's plans for the rest of the year. At 3:30 a.m., Dow futures dropped by 116 points, 0.3%. S&P 500 futures fell by 15 points, 0.3%, and Nasdaq 100 futures slipped by 63 points, 0.3%. Wall Street calmed down a little on Friday after a buying rush following the big rate cut by the Fed. Still, the Dow Jones hit a new record high thanks to Nike's stock boost after its CEO, John Donahoe, announced he's stepping down. Second impulse. More Fed talk coming. More speeches from top Federal Reserve officials are coming soon to explain last week's big rate cut of 50 basis points. On Monday, Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic will speak, followed by Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee. Fed Governor Michelle Bowman, the first to disagree with a decision since 2005, will speak on Tuesday and Thursday. She's worried the rate cut might be a bad move since inflation is still above the Fed's 2% goal. Christopher Waller, though, said the cut was needed to stop inflation from dropping too much. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell will speak Thursday at a big Treasury event, with more talks from New York Fed President John Williams and Michael Barr. Third impulse. Apollo's $5 billion Intel deal. Apollo Global Management is looking to drop a huge $5 billion into chipmaker Intel, according to Bloomberg News on Sunday. Apollo wants to make an investment in Intel, and Intel's management is thinking about it. This cash could really help Intel, as it's been struggling with falling sales and money problems. They've already started cutting costs, even laying off up to 15,000 workers. Earlier this year, Apollo also announced plans to buy 49% of Intel's new plant in Ireland for $11 billion. Fourth impulse, Republicans push for a short-term funding fix. U.S. House Republicans have come up with a plan to keep the government running for 3 more months and avoid a shutdown. They left out a key immigration measure backed by Donald Trump, and the vote will happen Wednesday, says Reuters. The current $1.2 trillion funding ends on September 30th. If no deal is made, a lot of government work could stop just before the November elections, risking thousands of jobs. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson said letting the government shut down now would be political suicide. Fifth impulse. Oil prices climb with Middle East tension. Oil prices held steady on Monday as worries grew over how conflict in the Middle East might hit supplies. At 3:32 a.m., Brent crude was up 0.2%, at $73.81 a barrel, and U.S. oil, WTI, also rose 0.2%, hitting $71.10 a barrel. Traders are getting nervous, raising prices due to Israeli attacks in Gaza and Lebanon. Hezbollah has warned of striking back, making everyone more anxious. The fighting could mess with oil supply, tightening markets worldwide. Over the last 2 weeks, prices have bounced back after sinking to 3-year lows, partly due to Hurricane Francine. Traders, here are 5 impulses. Things you should keep an eye on today if you're aiming to make smart decisions. So, what's on your mind today? What's keeping you up or making you excited? Let me know below and let's trade smart. Happy trading. See you tomorrow, fam.